Hey everyone, thank you so much for joining Archangel Alts. Here with you, trading live without a net. And if your name is Annette, you can join us too, please do. So, live without a net, we just jump right in. Whatever is happening in the market is whatever is happening in the market. And our strategy has been working for getting through the ridiculousness of the horribleness of the market. But I've noticed that some things are starting to spike as Bitcoin is dropping in its volume very quickly. So the pump has been going on for a couple of days on Bitcoin to suspend and hold it upwards with the news going on with Bitfinex and Tether bringing Bitcoin down, and it kind of snapped right back up. But it's having trouble staying above 5,300, so just looking at our market analysis is always an integral part of being able to know what to do with our live day trading strategy. So hold on for just 1 second. So it's quite a balancing act because, obviously this is not enough of an indicator to know that this is going to happen. But if we always predict correctly that this trend that has been happening leads to what we're seeing, then it's almost like being able to predict the future, and you want to already be into the millions and millions of dollars to be able to fully capitalize on that without touching your circulation. So it's crazy, 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 crazy stuff. But I hear my scanner just firing this off one time after another after another. So I told you that our strategy was working. What we had been working on, and you can see that these are the ones that have yet to, kick in yet. Poe at 98, Key at 56, Fun at 103, In Cash at 37. I'm going to show you these pretty quickly. Don't worry if this feels like it's moving too quickly for you. I'm moving a little bit briskly, but just because things shift very quick and things have been very bad. So when you start to see the bounce from the bottom start to head back up, it's a really big deal. And honestly, I don't think that we're going to see a lot more of these extremes at the bottom that, affecting the overall alt market that heavily. And we're going to go into a lot of different detail. This is stuff that we would normally have just for our private subscribers. But as we're really still continuing into the beginning of our launch, we're taking things slow and easy and providing a lot of information for people out there. And eventually we'll edit some of this down and make it available for free for always. But the live trending stuff where we, can kind of prove over and over and over again that we know a little bit about what we're talking about, that's eventually just going to be some of the savory bits for the private group. So here we are in cash, and you can see it finally bottomed out at 32. My gosh, 60, double that, is about as low as you want to see in cash go. So you can see that it had a healthy spike over here about a week ago, and that was only 41. Amazing, really amazing. Okay, so I'm going to pull out, show you the bigger picture here, and show you why this is as low. See, this is a very steep, not a gradual drop here. And its average was in the 47, 48 range. So we actually put a spread when it was in the 50s, just whenever it hit 60, that we would take our profit. And you can see the Bitcoin crash, Bitcoin Cash hard fork. This is the effect that it had on InCash. So this was much steeper. This was about a 30 drop. This is about a 20 drop. So, what we just put in was basically for it to sell at 37, assuming that even if it takes a week or so, that this is such a low average. 37 is well below that. And we had done the same thing when it was the same truth in the 40s. And, so that's before this most recent sink. You really, you kind of get into a pattern of assuming that the worst is over when the worst is over. But, yeah, there's so much call for bull run, and I'm like, bull. Just bull, not the run. A little bit of bologna with your cheese. Okay. So fun, we set it to be able to do 103, and you can see that sits so low down here. 120 is low for fun. That's a very small amount of fun, okay? Is fun the one? Yeah. So fun, we need to see it double when it gets out of that. You can see here it is triple over here, and that was, back in the summer. So not quite a year. Worth 5 times more than that, 6 times more than that, 7, 8, 9 times more than that. So 200, might sound scary. Oh gosh, it's got to go up 100% in order to, do this thing. But I mean, it's 90% loss where it is right now, and the entire market is sitting with that same threshold. So we had some really nice, hopeful, spikes happening in March. They were a predecessor to shifting over to the spikes, pumping Bitcoin. So, in fact, probably, well, it's very possible that some of the money was made from the spikes in March in order to fund what's happened with Bitcoin. So I'm always curious when I see this. I'm looking at the amount of Bitcoin that's in a certain position because that's what can kind of get things locked up. You see, what you don't want to see is this chasm between one position and another. Now, not as big a deal with Key because one position is 2%. You go from 47 to 48, that's your 2% right there. So a lot of people might say, well, why don't you only do moves like that? It went from 45 to 49. Well, if you go in at 46 thinking that it's going to save you, 24-hour high and low is very, very deceptive. And oh my gosh, we're just giving away such huge secrets. You guys better appreciate this stuff. I'm telling you, man. So, okay, what's the deal here? This doesn't tell you the open and close. This tells you the highest that it's been and the lowest that it's been, okay? You might think 45 to 49, oh, okay, well, there's enough wiggle room in there for me to get my money. So you put in, it's currently at 46, and you're trying to get it at 46. And you wait and you wait and you wait. It takes it, and it goes down to 45. You say, well, okay, that's okay. It's just got to go back up to 46 and then go to 47. Well, what it's done is actually go from 49 to 48 to 47 to 46 to 45. Who's to say the next thing isn't 44 or 43? So you have to know your trends. And that's the thing, a lot of people that just think that they can trade off of the OHLC are going to have a lot of bad surprises. So I've actually been looking for a source for better analysis than I have found is out there. It seems like people hit on trends that they follow that is just about every single detail except for the exact one that I need. So I've looked at Crypto Compare, I've looked at CoinMarketCap, I've looked at WorldCoin Index, and several others, and they're really good. But the historical data leaves a little bit to be desired. So what we're looking for here, I'm willing to, I may adjust this at some point, but we went in, let's see, I'm on Key, so I'm going to see. So we sold this one. That's nice. We went in at 53, and I was thinking, 53 to 56. So we've actually already gotten our short-term one. Hold on one second. So yeah, the plan was to go in at 47, and we got our 49. We did what we needed to. Several days back, we were at the same thing at 53. It actually broke that down into 3 parts. So that's a little bit larger. 5, 6, 7. Yeah, that was like a 0.1 to go from 53 to 56. So, and honestly, I mean, you could do these 53 to 54. You could do this just as a single step, and you're actually making larger than your minimum. The problem with that is that you don't know how long you might have to wait. So here's 56. Is a pretty safe bet when this was a strong average. This down is something that every single coin has been experiencing. The few anomalies have only happened after it's already dropped. So, no, I do not feel optimistic about when I see 10%, 20% ups. It's going to take that just to get back to the shortest fall that things have experienced. So looking back over here, good, IOST is starting to pop again. We're going to check these other things out. But I'm going to go ahead and finish showing you the strategy that we've been following. So you saw in cash, we actually, let's see, because I thought we'd already Okay, so we bought and sold our 35 to 36. We have a 34 in there, and I'm waiting for it to go to 37. So that'll be like close to 9%, I think, if math is do good, be right. Am brain think good things. Here's fun. Just has to go to 103. We already covered that one. Po just needs to go to 98. And I mean, I say just, I mean, you can see these exact same dips, and the volume's lower than I've ever seen. And I mean, it's actually lower today than it was yesterday when it was the lowest I'd ever seen yesterday. And it's actually, probably looks a lot better than this does on other exchanges. Binance has some of the best volume around. So when you see something that actually broke down to 12 BTC 24-hour volume, oh my goodness. That's unbelievable on the Binance Exchange. And there's some people out there that people pay to follow them to trade, and they talk about Binance as nothing but for pump and dumps for poop coins. And oh my goodness, you are so misdirected. There's some people out there that are sharing wealth of advice that is not worth listening to. I'm very sorry. I don't like to speak ill will, and therefore I'm not using names as far as that goes. But I'm stunned at some of the people that are finding celebrity status trading when they're doing absolutely nothing that makes any sense. So I only bring that up just because it is unusual to see the bottoming out of volume. It is not going to stay this way. It will recover. It's showing signs of those first spike recoveries. And I'm actually really excited about this because as much as Bitcoin has been pumping, I was concerned that they're going to keep, just propping it up with false, kind of filler positions. I would much rather let it, kind of falter on its own a little bit and still maintain its value, but let that volume start causing the spikes that are happening. So those spikes happen just as the electronic connection to things, the math behind this stuff. You're kind of, if you were saying, I'm trading this, penny stock against dollars. So I bought like 100 shares for $1, and something was, shaking up the dollar hugely. You would see a huge fluctuation in the opposite of that with your penny stock, even if there was no genuine activity happening with the penny stock at all. Just the movement of the dollar itself would cause shakeup in that math comparison of what the value of the shares are. We have the same thing here because these are all on blockchain and all electronically being compared and reevaluated to one another. When Bitcoin's volume starts to drop down, yes, there's naturally developing trends that track that and go into the opposite direction, but it's also just the actual valuation is against Bitcoin, so it starts to cause things to click and pop at different values. Very, very interesting stuff. So there's CLR. It's got that same shape down, but it looks like it's getting closer to be able to make its journey upwards again. Let's hope so. Let's certainly hope so. Stunning to see BCPT this low. It's disturbing to me. Not happy about that at all. But its average tends to sit, 12, 1300. We're towards the high side of 1300 because it was such a fast trend that was going to be done. If I do have a hubris in this stuff at all, it's kind of that expectation to see things happen very quickly. And when things shift very quickly, that becomes very difficult. So I just have to remember that. There's, the very few times that we've been stuck in anything, it has usually been just that over confidence in the previous trends before they shift. And so, gotta put that out there. If you can't be honest about the areas where you are weak, then you shouldn't be able to brag about the areas where you're strong. So I think that that's an important part of the winning process, is to be able to look at the things that you have to prove about yourself. So IOTX is showing a little bit of a snapback from the bottom, 193 to 208. So, the positive side of that is that in the 400 BTC 24-hour range, this is the equivalent to what it took. You can see the volume around here has been sell-off volume. So it's been kind of ouch. But we had here, and here, and here, where, yeah, I can't even count that many numbers. Because it's, a penny. So, yeah, we're looking at right at the beginning of this trend, happened 5 days ago, and it's had about a day of recovery. So the fact that it dropped that hard and there's that little volume to cover that drop, I hope that we're seeing the beginning of an uptrend there, and it really just has to come back to where it started in order for us to see a very nice profit. And if it took a week to do that, honestly, worse things could happen for sure. What we don't want to see is to see are we good yet? Are we good yet? Let's see. I think we're good. Okay, so show me what you got. Show me what you got. So yeah, the situation I was describing is, make sure I'm not muted. Okay. When you have like somebody in a crime scene, something's taking place. A lot of people in an apartment complex hear a woman screaming outside, and they look out and they see that something's going on. They're getting attacked, and all of them are like, "Oh, well, thank goodness we're, in an apartment complex. A lot of people are hearing what I'm hearing. I can leave it to them to call the cops." And so nobody actually calls the cops because everybody assumes everybody else would do it. And similar thing to when the volume gets this low, if people don't take a chance on some of the first small trends, they wait it out to see what everybody else is going to do. It's yet another one of those self-fulfilling prophecies that can hinder the growth, the recovery. So Go is one of those that got hit really hard. It actually needs to double from the boil and toil and trouble. It had gotten up into the 600s before Bitcoin snapped its neck downwards. So it was worth in the sixes before this spike. It was really headed to maintain here until this happened, and then Bitcoin up again, and then this most recent thing, the kind of scare, and then the slight recovery, balancing out around 5,300. I'm seeing now it's really having trouble maintaining the 5,300. It's falling a little bit beneath it. So I'm actually okay with that. If it stays above 5 while the market is kind of catching up to it naturally, then I'd be okay with that. Not that anybody's asking, but so we had this right up until April 2nd. Yeah, I remember saying, I was glad that they waited until after April Fool's Day, because people wouldn't have believed the reports. So we basically went from 4 to 5 in, just no time. So everybody is assuming that this is the new value. A lot of people are saying it's going to go down to 1,000, and then the other people are saying it's going to go up to 1 million. So I can almost guarantee you that both are going to happen, and a lot of things in between. That's kind of what I think is going to happen. Everything's going to happen. Always. Everywhere. All the time. Okay. So my main reason for being here right now is because I saw that some of the spikes were starting to happen. QLC being the biggest one, and it's amazing because in the grand scheme of things, what it really should be worth, you can't even see it on the screen. But there it is. Made it up to 700, then coming back down. So this one was actually waiting for the advantage to pump around here. Here's the pre-pump. People knew it was going to happen. And it could be individual, but I'm seeing some bad practices within the bad practices. So, yeah, it's interesting because yesterday what I noticed in pump groups was that they were calling them off. So MFT, did I already see that one sell? No, that just happened. Good. So that was recent. Let's see if I have added that to our group yet. Un momento, por favor. So, got to do the right thing. Got to ring the cowbell every time we sell. Woo! Okay, yeah, I'm keeping those very short now. And right back to it. Muy bien. Thank goodness. Good for you, Raven. So we were seeing the 950s for Raven. Man, these trends happen so fast that by the time you catch up to them, you could be it's very likely to be at risk of getting stuck at the top. So, trying to go into cautious things. ZIL is up, Nano is up. So all of these are starting their ascent now, the first 5 and 10% of the 50% that they need to go up to recover. That's just the way that is. In the meantime, Po, Key, Fun, and Encash, I could see them taking a little bit longer because the spikes are going to take precedence. But they're the ones that tend to happen naturally under these conditions. Fun may make it on its own. Key, I'm going to guess, is going to take a little bit longer for that earlier position. Of course, I didn't put that as part of this strategy. That was a previous strategy before it went south, even further south. D&T 284. Yeah, these are all showing slight signs of correction. It's a good place to get 2 and 3% out of these guys. It's just not an easy thing to do because they come and go so quickly. Just like bam, and then it's done. So NAV had a hard spike there. Is it possible that it could continue to correct above that? Let's see, 368.71. I mean, it had just come down through there. I don't know if I see it with 25 BTC unless somebody's already planning to take advantage of its sensitivity to this stuff. What I really like about these situations, and when we are on the other side of our hockey stick, we've finally started to go up that EGC big time, and it's really exciting. But in those situations, something like this has everything in Bitcoin world. Remember, 1 is a 10,000 unit, 0.1 is 1,000 unit, 0.01 is a hundreds unit. So you look at these in Bitcoin world, 800, 700, 1700. People are weighing these down, but nothing huge. There's a Bitcoin there, Bitcoin there, Bitcoin there, but just, yeah, I mean, nothing gigantic. So the ability to impact what happens while you're putting your orders in is kind of exciting. I don't believe in any bad, types of manipulation, but I am perfectly aware of the fact that every single trade that you put in is manipulation. There's no such thing as being able to put in a trade that isn't manipulating in one way or the other. That's what happens. So it's we use a lot of nature analogies, especially water analogies with this stuff, because they're just so true. But the situation is like, if you imagine putting an order in is, imagine that this is a completely flat surfaced pond, and your dropping in your order is choosing exactly where you want to throw a pebble or a rock into the water. And so the very first thing, the water just above and just below, or, surrounding that position. Yeah, see, I'm talking about it while it's happening. The activity just around that, you're going to have a ripple effect that circles your position. It's going to drop right at the center where your order book is. And then as it surfaces back up, it sends that wave to drop in a perfect circular motion surrounding where you are, larger and larger and larger. It's going to have that effect on the math in the order book. So even though this is only at 25 BTC 24-hour volume, that's just an indicator of what it's been doing. It could jump, from a Bitcoin to 2 Bitcoins to 10 Bitcoins to 50 Bitcoins. It could be in the 100, 200, 300 Bitcoins worth of volume in a very short time. It doesn't take long for that to happen. So, not saying that I'm going in on NAV, but I am definitely testing to see whether it is a worthwhile venture to consider. And I'm honestly not certain that it is. But yeah, this is the situation when you have, 30, 40, 50 BTC sitting around. And there's movement just starting to happen in one of the very small coins like this. and none of the positions have a very large amount of money, you could kind of act as if you were quite a rather large fish. So that can always be interesting. What I'm interested in seeing here is not so much about whether it's going from 360 to 362, 4, 5, 7, 9, but more so, yeah, that was exactly it. Whether it's jumping from 363 to 366, it could go back down to 363, and that doesn't really concern me. What concerns me is whether it gets stuck in that trend and then just keeps going down. So has it already finished this process, or does it have another one or two in it? If it's happening very quickly, then I see it as an opportunity that somebody could go in on and earn something off of. So it's worth testing here, 358. Did I not say 358? That was strange. I'm going to cancel everything out and make sure we have what we're supposed to have here. There's been some strange glitchiness in the most recent updates. Yeah, see, there it is, 358. Noticed I don't like the glitchiness, but I always understand what's happening underneath the hood since I've done programming stuff. So just have to find the workaround to their thing. There it is. Okay, we're back. But in the meantime, that happened while we could have taken advantage of our position. So, haha on you, Binance. You just lost a little bit of a 0.2% for your weird stuff. 355. This is interesting. The volume is actually still dropping and this much interesting stuff is happening. So, I'm going to see what these other guys are doing. KC is a little interesting. I like seeing the the stair-stepping process, but it's already done its principle of thirds, and it's not likely to help us beyond that. So 328. This is a genuine 300s, not the extra position that we see. You can see up here, follow the blue box, 3758 would look like 375. So they're giving you one less character, which is good because it means that everybody has to do larger jumps. And that means that the coin's always going to benefit from a stronger value than if you had given it every single unit to trade on. So I like that. It's a good thing. Ion is coming down a bit. TNT is so weird for them to be this low in volume. It's just really strange. Actually, 320. Well, 327 now. Let me get my scanner back up here. QLC again. So these are genuinely heading up. I don't want to risk getting stuck at the top. So how long has it been? Just before the most recent drop. So up to about 335 might be a good entry point. Let me just see if it's possible to get in there. Be exciting if it was. BCD's popping. So everybody's going to be jumping in at this point. And like I said, I don't want to get over enthusiastic and to get stuck at the top. So we've tested out our short term. What I'd really like to see is IOTX and IOST get their major spike on. Just go ahead and do 100% up. Just go crazy. Let loose. Let your hair down and just put all of our purses in the center and just do a circle dance. Don't know. IOST. Okay, it's coming back up to it. It had already spiked at 220. It's coming back up to there. And we'd really like to see it be able to come up to here and then continue beyond that trend. It's very possible. It's just as much harder for an uptrend to happen than a downtrend. And we'll teach you why in the futures. But it is true. So you could just take my word for it now and then hear me now and believe me later. So let's see, 53. So it broke 53 again. Bitcoin did. Fun is sitting around 98. SC, I don't think we went in on that on this one. No, I did not go in on SC on this one. I went in on the browser, so that'll be, I think 55 is where we want it to go up to. And don't believe we have any fuel. Nope. So we're not waiting for anything to clear here. Once again, I believe the browser has some. So I think I want to look at this from the volume standpoint now. So yeah, I was going to say, you have to be kidding me. That's not even possible. Okay. So there we go. BNB is number one, and really surprising. I mean, I expect to see it at 8,000 BTC to just be running the show. Ethereum down below 4,000 again. Matic is now coming into its, okay, I'm just a normal coin now. I've been launched. It hasn't actually been, I think maybe now it's been a full 24 hours. I'm not sure. So that's why it's not showing as negative 59% instead of just negative 9%. So it may be falling down into one of those just below penny values. Its real value, which means, I mean, that's a good place for opportunity. People are already laying down heavy coin here. So somebody's looking for a solid 10% there, kind of boxing it in between their two positions. I would guess that it's the same person. That's usually how that works. ADA, you sneaky, sneaky one. It's like, I'm just going to go ahead and go back up here. Y'all do what you're doing. I'm just going to. So we want to see this to be able to get just above that and continue above 2,000. ADA, I expect it to be a better performing coin. I just really expect to see it be able to hold a higher value. But I mean, everything is struggling, so that makes sense. Still just barely anything above 1,000 BTC 24-hour volume. It's shocking. It's unbelievable. So Litecoin does not have 1,000 BTC in 24-hour volume. It has done fairly well up until this most recent one. Even it got caught in the clutches of this yucky stuff. So fuel is headed up pretty quick. I'm going to go check that out. Keep going, IOST. This is your chance. Keep going, go. You got to make it up to 800. You're only in the 4s. It's not good enough. So before this mess, this was only in the 160s. Fuel in the 180s. Let's see what it was over a longer trend. Yeah, I mean, that's what I thought. It's like 2468. Almost 5 times just to get it back to there. So looking at about a year on, yeah, we have a fuel of 1,300 that is now to 173. So it's done that 90% drop and starting to show a little bit of interest in coming back up again. So we're going to test it out a little bit here, 169. I do like the fact that it has made that much movement and people are still not putting their 2030 BTC orders in. So there's room for it to fluctuate to maybe come down enough to get a good position and pop pretty quickly. I'd much rather have something that should be at, let's say 171, drop down, grab mine, and then come right back up, than to try to chase it upwards. So, you know, you do get stuck sometimes chasing upwards in day trading because just of the fact that, you know, the opportunities are slim and you see things happening quickly. The volume is so low, and so, you know, you're looking for that example where you drop a pebble in the pond water and it has that ripple effect, and the orders around you will drop just quick enough for you to get in at a really good price, be done with it, and then that's it. Unfortunately, that always comes with the risk that if things are bad and they're about to get worse, that, you know, you'll put that order in, the ripples will allow it in, and then a bigger rock comes and plops everything down lower and lower and lower. So we did really good with ENJ yesterday. I was just early this morning we were doing live day trading. I was just absolutely exhausted, but I really wanted to see that move through. So I moved it down to about 29.66 and it sold. So that's really good news. We're doing very well for time where there's almost no opportunities, and then the ones that are there are so high risk that they almost don't even make sense. So we've been doing a really good job not getting stuck. But the 3 times that we've gotten stuck over the past 4 weeks, a little bit tricky. So we're having to be a little bit cautious. Okay, so 167, 173, 172, 171. People's expectations right now are still for fuel to come down. $172 to 3. But really, I mean, 171 to 173 would make me happy there. So kind of expecting, like, if it does 170 to 174, I'd like to kind of sneak in between those two. 174 right now is the 24-hour high, but it's going to go higher than that unless this was all it had. If this was the totality of its spike, then all it's doing is resyncing to a very low volume Bitcoin, kind of finding a similar peak. So we're going to find out whether that's the case. If this is just mirroring, the tiny little bit of an up that Bitcoin just did. You can see this trend right here. This is just trying to maintain where it already was over here, but the volume's still dropping. Why do we buy when the volume's dropping? Waiting for the pump and dump to start popping. Yes. You write the jingle, we shall make you a millionaire. DLT. Deacon lettuce tomato. Okay. Similar spike that I'm seeing there. And you can see here, spike, boom, boom, recover. Very, very, very similar to what we just saw with Bitcoin over here. Boom, boom. 5303, 5304. So looking at the Tether 101,900,000 measured in TUSD. So it's 899.97. So it's teetering right around. I mean, there is just about $101 million worth of volume sustaining right now. It's holding that average. It's not falling very quickly below that, but this is where we get to see if there is an actual slowdown about to happen. And if that does, then it's going to take things down first, and then they're going to start to pop. Things that have been spiking a little bit are going to see a little bit of a die down as a result of that. So let's see what happens. So Bitcoin is having a little bit of trouble in this range. So what I'm curious about with ADA, and I am just kind of watching this right now, curious whether it can handle having its own support and going up if Bitcoin does not sustain over 5,300 on the spike. And now as I'm saying that, I'm kind of thinking that there might be enough interest for people to try to go in on Bitcoin again on its cycle. It's very possible. So right now ADA is still mirroring the same thing. Okay. So things have died down a little bit. There's going to be another pop soon. I may keep this a little on the short side. I think this serves as kind of a good market watch update, instant insight. And it's good to see things coming up towards a higher point as we get a little bit later in the day, whether this is a fast Saturday or slow Saturday. Could be one of those good things where it just kind of needs to settle into a new position and then bam. That's really what I'd like to see happen. Obviously, that's what I would like to see happen. We're already in on certain stuff. The only reason I would want to see different is if we weren't already in on it. So, advice to those who have their regular circulation and then a lot of extra money. I would actually take some of your larger positions and put them in some of these kind of, last hope, last chance before it spikes kind of positions that we've seen. Of course, over here would be a better time to do it, but we didn't have guarantees that things wouldn't just continue to get worse from where it was. So, looking for things like Key, MFT, Go, IOST still. 2 moves is 1%. PO, 1 move is more than 1%. It's just the volume's very low, so that's, the risk of the low volume is not that, oh my gosh, if it goes to 0, then there's nothing. It's a signal to traders whether to go in or to avoid something. Storm is always kind of sitting on that line. I usually stay out of it, but there's not really a hard-pressed reason. If you like it, go for it. But just everything is low. Everything is low compared to what it should do in a week or two. So if you have extra funds to move forward without it affecting your main circulation, look for those that are worth 1% or more. But avoid NPX or NPXS, avoid BTT, avoid HOT. That's where you get into the greedy zone where people want to get 10% for one move, 3%, 4%, 5% for one move, and there's like hundreds of Bitcoin sitting in each position. And if it goes down one, it could take weeks for it to go back up, and it's just silliness. Steam is one of those phenomenon I really need to do. One video wouldn't cover it, so it would take multiple times returning to the same topic. But Steam is a perfect example of where it should be blowing up, but it kind of proves my point that there's a disconnect between the actual value on the marketplace and the people's participation in programs and their interest in the project. It's got like one of the better true believers aspects to things. People are really, really, really involved in the community. They're doing, neat kind of like challenges to write content and shoot videos, and they get paid in Steam to do stuff, and people will get paid to participate and comment and interact. And so especially, a lot of people that are in struggling situations and struggling countries see the value in something that doesn't come from the government that could give them an opportunity. So I think that's just really cool and super fantastic. But Steam should be worth, several dollars by now. But instead it's gone down into everything else, and it's at 35 cents when it was, I can show you over here, was in the 8s. And that was really low. It should be breaking the 11,000 all the time. But it just, it has not gotten the growth that it really, by the ground level support that it deserves. So there's an anomaly there. And I think that the issue that a lot of things that people think is going to lead to mass adoption, those things lead to more adoption from the same people that are already aware. It's inside a bubble. Nothing outside of that bubble is aware that it's there. So that's an issue, first of all. And second of all, it means that that's not the approach that's going to work. If you tell all of your friends that you're really devoted to this one thing and they're devoted to it too, you're just telling each other how devoted that you are to one another. Nobody outside of that friendship is, gaining interest in the same process. So it's been the same thing in, modernity as it has been in the past. So, TNB again, good, nice, good job, TNB. Curiosity. You can see 2 Bitcoin 484232211111244. So unless a lot of buying and selling happens quicker, kind of like some macro moves that get it moving faster, you could see it getting stuck in a buy or sell wall. I don't really see the sign of that right now. The main thing is that that gap can't close because it's worth almost 1%. So, I mean, only when it goes up a full unit and goes up a full unit in either direction can it break through that wall. But it seems like it's doing okay. Yeah, okay, I was going to say there's its response to Bitcoin. Bitcoin is now at 100,900,000, and it is still dropping in value. So as it crosses that 90 million range, if it doesn't get pumped before then, we should see more and more spikes. That would be perfectly fine with me. That's what I'd like to see happen. This is the other half of the market. It's the part that matters the most to compare to Bitcoin because it has to shift back and forth. If we only did fiat Bitcoin, then there'd be some real issues. And fortunately, that's not the case. So happy to see our MFT sell. So you can see that just since the 26th, sold Key, sold Fuel, sold ENJ, XVG, TMB, MFT. So our plans are working, and the next part of the process is headed forward straight away. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this short for now. Keep your eyes open because the market's going to do some incredibly interesting things today. We'll keep telling our community about that. I'll try to keep an eye on Twitter. Make sure and join us, subscribe, ring the bell so you get updates, give us a thumbs up, comment, and come join our community. Sign up for the EGC webinar, learn about the exponential growth, a little bit about Bitcoin, a little bit about blockchain, and learn about the things that are coming soon. The thing that is missing from our community is your voice. We want to see and hear you there, so come join us. Thank you so much for watching, and for now, Archangel Alts out.